You always just gotta act when defending.
I think it's like.
Arsenal consider cashing in on Emil Smith-Rowe to fund a summer move for Leicester star James Maddison as Mikel Arteta plots a summer rebuild in midfield after missing out on the title. Quite a headline. People deluded. As the season's about to draw us to a close, silly season in the transfer window is about to become upon us. We all know there's a bunch of roles Arsenal need to address, and I'm sure a number of other clubs. Don't forget, people, to hit the like button, subscribe, and offer your opinions over what we're going over in it. Now, James Maddison, that was a signing some people wanted over Martin Odegaard. With Leicester probably relegated now, I don't know if it's mathematically possible they could still escape. Obviously, they'd probably have to score a lot of goals. James Maddison is someone that's been linked with Arsenal before, primarily Newcastle at the moment. We have heard via the David Ornsteins and the Romanos of this world that Arsenal are looking for more creative players. That might be indirectly why you see links to James Maddison, actually Szoboszlai now, Mason Mount. Gundogan can play that Xhaka role as well. Whatever you think about Xhaka, losing Xhaka is something that needed to be a necessary evolution. I feel at some point at Arsenal, in an ideal world, would have loved to have brought in a centre midfielder and had Xhaka here. Obviously, Xhaka is box to box. He helps with the build-up play, and he chipped in with a couple of goals. We're missing that really. Next season is going to be an interesting one because while I like the fact that goals have been spread out at this football club, when you look at it, there's not really anyone that there's an assurance that we can say is going to get double figures in the Prem. You could probably at push say Saka because he's done it for 2 years now. Martin Odegaard and Martinelli have got 15 league goals. Fantastic achievement. But I don't know if they're going to do that next year. I back them all the way. Jesus is a great player. He doesn't have the with injuries. He's barely got game time since he's been fit. So a bit like with Balogun wanting to leave and Teenies not getting football, I don't think the three players I just said there, the club actively want to push them out. It's them seeking other things versus the Pepes, the Congas, Maitland-Niles, etc. of this world, players whose days are clearly a number at Arsenal. Maddison could be available at a cut price. He's English. He's, I like him. He's got great technical ability. He's got good passing range, good from set pieces. I like his attitude. He's got that positive chip on his shoulder as well. He wants responsibility. Arsenal are toying with selling academy product Emil Smith-Rowe to fund a move for Leicester's James Maddison, according to reports. That's a myth. If it means selling Smith-Rowe, I'm the king and the president of the Emil Smith-Rowe Defence League. Let's say that. Let's go scroll all the way down specifically to what is being said. We all know that Xhaka is probably departing. There remains end of season concerns around Thomas Partey and Jorginho. Even, I think it would be silly to let Xhaka and Partey both leave, if I'm honest with you. I know with Partey off the field stuff, I don't want to get into it because I don't have the facts. If he has done any of them things, then he should never play, but he shouldn't be walking again, let alone play football, in it. So we need to, obviously on the technical front, we need the long-term replacement for that. Jorginho can be used in certain games and utilized throughout a season in the squad. He's clearly not the guy to start week in, week out, and we need to address midfield. Maddison has been on Arsenal's radar for some time as a suitable midfield option after distinguishing himself during the turbulent season with the Foxes. So what happened to the Telemans links? Obviously, it looks bleak for Leicester at the end of the season, people. They're 18th from 31 points. The relegation fight remains alive, but they need a lot to go for them, and it's a bit like Leeds. It's out of their hands, people. We all know Maddison's a good player, needs to learn how to take penalties and things like that. But does it make sense to sell Smith-Rowe just to get Maddison? Because I feel we need squad players. At best, Smith-Rowe's a good squad player. He showed this season's about to be done. So last season, on top of just really being one of our go-to men, being a good squad player and things like that, having signed a new deal, could it be worth him actually going out on loan with the Euros in the summer of next year, and then coming back for next season if that was the case? I think we're making far too much of a snap judgment after. Obviously, Arsenal don't do things off a whim. You gave him a new deal last year. Things can change in a year, of course, but yeah, to sell him wouldn't make sense unless the player said he wants to go. Smith-Rowe has failed to make a start this season, and he's watched 6 of the last 8 Premier League games from the bench. It is what it is, people. Teenie and Rob Holding could also leave, along with Maddison. Also on Arsenal's wish list of incomings are West Ham captain Declan Rice and Caicedo of Brighton, who Deserby said apparently could keep it moving. So there's not really any real cold-hearted evidence with James Maddison links, probably just an admiration like a bunch of other clubs. We've been linked with Antonio Sanabria, who I can't pronounce his name. He used to play for Barcelona. He spent his time in Spain, as well as obviously in Serie A. He is a forward and he has 12 goals and 3 assists to his name. Evidently, we need a striker in it. So it makes sense why we're going to be linked with stuff. Not too sure if this is anything creditable. I don't think he's of the level to immediately help us, if I'm completely honest, but I don't watch him religiously. And he could be available for 21.6 million. I don't think his hold-up plays the best, and I don't think he's necessarily that physical profile I think we need. That's a bit different to Eddie, Balogun and Jesus on paper. Nonetheless, we've been linked with a 21.6 million pound move. We also face a fight from Napoli and AC Milan to secure his signature, people. As it says here, Sanabria is far from a prolific out-and-out goal scorer that will get them 20 goals a season. His highest return is his 12 goals this season. Forget all of that then, really. Unless Arteta's got a trick up his sleeve to take him to the next level, that's a myth. We've also been linked, people, with Vlahovic, who has 14 goals in 42 games, hit just like Juventus. Individually and collectively, the players have been struggling. The race for Mason Mount hops up. 1 minute Arsenal the favourites, then he's going to stay at Chelsea, then Liverpool, City, and now Man United are on the scene. Eric Ten Hag eyes a £55 million bid for us for Mason Mount, and as Arsenal and Liverpool are obviously trying to fight for such people. 55 million. I mean, with a year left, that'd be good business for Chelsea. And for all clubs, I think he'd be a good option if you could get something out of him, really and truly. He's got the capacity to score goals. He's of the right age. I know there's a lot of concerns over Mount, but I think he's a decent player, really and truly, at 24. You know, really and truly, 55 million is a bit steep, let alone Chelsea's valuation of 85. That's probably English tax and English marketability going into that. I don't know how creditable United are, but allegedly, if they are to place a bid, they would have stolen the march on Liverpool and Arsenal, because they're actually going to bid. And ours just goes as far as interest and indirectly talking with agents. We all know Chelsea need to sell a number of players, so you'll see a bunch of players leak. You know what? If you give us Mudryk for a 70% discount, we'll see what happens. You can see Mount's stats here as well, people. They're not that bad for a modern midfielder, if I'm honest. I don't think he's a bad signing. Declan Rice to Bayern Munich across the last 24 to 48 hours has been hotting up. Allegedly, courtesy of Florin Plattenberg, he has said on Bayern Munich, Rice internally, it said that the poker has now begun. Tuchel and the bosses want him as reported, and he's one of the targets who's on top of the list. He's also allegedly been told that Bayern could pay the price package demanded for him. As you know, it's going to cost a pretty penny for a player like Mount, whose deal is running out at the end of the season, people. Thomas Partey, once again, is attracting interest from clubs in Italy. Again, I don't think we should be getting rid of him, at least for this season. I would have said, you know, Xhaka and Partey, in an ideal world, we would have signed 2 midfielders, and then this season is about passing the baton on to those new midfielders. I think we have to utilize Partey. I know his form has taken a dip and physicality along with everyone, but I think he's had a decent season. He's been available for 31, 32 games in the Premier League. So while I'm never confident on betting on Thomas Partey's fitness, he's been as fit as he can. I don't think it makes sense, especially going into the Champions League, clipping 2 of your most experienced players. You know, again, on paper, Jorginho, El Nene, Partey, Xhaka leaving, we're a bit light in midfield, you know, so we need to address them. Even if you bring in Rice and Caicedo, they've all got plenty of transferable skills and experience, but none of them neither players played in the Champions League, and they're still very young, and there's going to be a degree of scrutiny. No, it doesn't say who these clubs are, people that are interested in the 29-year-old. Maybe it could be the best time with him contracted until 2025 to get rid, in theory, if things were different. Can imagine Arsenal have or haven't made the decision of giving him a new deal. We know we're not going to get our £45 million back for him, really. I don't really think it makes sense. But if we need to sell to fund things, then it is what it is, people. Again, Partey's been linked with 2 Italian teams. Neither club has been listed. Once again, Mikel Arteta is open to selling Thomas Partey. We have to be open to moving these players on. Xhaka looks like he's leaving for 15 million euros, people, to buy in Leverkusen. We've been linked with the Caicedos, the Gundogan's, and the Declan Rices of this world. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. As you know, Partey was on the bench for 3 games in a row between Chelsea, Newcastle, and Brighton. I think he should have came in for Brighton, but it was a sporting decision that was vindicated against Chelsea and Newcastle. So I have to see. Once again, Teenies wanted by Newcastle. Rob Holding is on the radar of a number of Premier League clubs. And apparently Smith Rowe is even up for sale if the price is right. The Tavares's, the Pepe's, the Lokonga's days are numbered. Balogun's made it clear he wants to leave, and he's got 20 league goals to his name. He's going to attract interest. Arsenal will need to assemble a massive war chest to give Arteta the backing he desires, with West Ham wanting a British record fee in excess of 100 million for Rice, while Brighton rejected bids of 70 million for Caicedo in the January market. So we'll have to see how that one is said. De Zerbi spoken again. People said if you want to go, you can go, in relation to McAllister, who allegedly is moving that much closer to actually joining Liverpool, and Caicedo, who's wanted by a number of clubs, including Arsenal Football Club. I think they'll let McAllister go. I think Caicedo can go if the price is right. I think, if anything, Mitoma will leave next year. I don't think they'll sell all three, really. De Zerbi said they can have the possibility to change, as they deserve to play at another level, but now we can offer them the possibility to play in Europe. Our level is bigger now. I think that can help. The Europa Conference League is a very nice competition, but everybody can see the Europa is more important, which is true. And it's going to be interesting to see how Arsenal returning to the Champions League, Newcastle getting Champions League football, and Brighton now with European football. Not that Arsenal didn't have Europa League last year, but how does that affect, you know, your form in the league, really? Because largely Arsenal were playing one game a week, I know, and we still had to deal with all these injuries and stuff. Who would have thought that? He said, I don't know if they can change. They have more motivation, but they are very good guys. When I work for myself and my club, I still think for the players. The players have one career, one life, and we can't decide for them. I don't know what Tony will decide, but if they want to leave, it is right they leave. So if a player wants to leave, you know, they weren't going to let them go in January. If a player wants to leave, it is what it is. And if anyone can replace players, it would be Brighton. But you have to put the money down. And De Zerbi, I'm sure, you know, he's sympathetic to the players wanting to move on, really. Same way at Arsenal, United, all of these sort of clubs, if players sit there and go, I want to go Real Madrid one day, what can you say? But he wants to probably keep hold of some players and improve on the base he has. I push with Tony to improve the squad every day. Leicester, West Ham this year, if they don't improve always year by year, you can find a surprise the year after. So, yeah, we'll have to see exactly what happens in that regards. Once again, we've been linked with the Torino striker, Tony Senaribia, 27-year-old who came through La Masia. And then when you look at goal.com, we've been linked to a bunch of players, really and truly. Once again, we've spoken about the Torino's forward, so there's no point waffling about that. Allegedly, we've scouted Dani Olmo and Szoboszlai of Leipzig. They're the third players, actually, when you consider Mohamed Simakan to be linked to us. Now, I like Szoboszlai, and he actually can play centre mid, but he'd have a lot of work, because when you look at Leipzig, people, he kind of does the Gavi thing where you're like a wide playmate. You start off the left and go central, and he does that on the right as well. So I don't think it's necessarily an out-and-out A option, really. It's something that clearly there's something lacking in his game at Leipzig to not play him there more consistently, or maybe it's just a tactical decision. But, you know, he's an FM wonder kid. He's got, for me, he plays with a positive chip on his shoulder, like Maddison. He's a danger from set pieces. He's not afraid to let shoot. He's very good in between the lines. I don't think it would come cheap, but it is something. And we were linked with him in January of 2021, or even before that. But them times we heard there was concerns about him. Maybe them concerns have been quashed. Dani Olmo's a player that we've seen a lot of, plays out wide and would be a good option. And he's out of contract in 2024. Allegedly, Leipzig would sell for around 30 million euros. I'm not too sure on the credibility of that, but it is what it is. Romano reveals there's a clause in Odegaard's contract as well. We have an option to extend it by another year, people. Until, you know, Arsenal have an option to extend Martin Odegaard's current contract until June 2026. So we have about a pivotal 18 months, people, to capitalize and get these players to sign new deals. And Odegaard is a foundation for Arsenal. So hopefully he follows the Ramsdales, the Sakas, the Martinellis, hopefully Salibas, of committing new deals. Once again, Saka is signed until 2027, people. Nelson has been offered a new deal. Apparently, there's some people saying he's rejected another attempt at Arsenal giving him a deal. Some outlets say we've offered him a 1-year extension. Some people like Romano are saying a 4-year extension. As we know, there's a lot of clubs around Europe that are interested in him. Yesterday, we were linked with Joshua Kimmich. I would love that, but I don't buy that. You did hear rumours the day before that he's having cold feet around his future at Bayern Munich. Then he started being linked with Arsenal, United, Liverpool and Barcelona. So we'll have to see. We've joined the race for Mohamed Kudus a few days ago. Ornstein reported that we have an admiration for him, but Arsenal, Newcastle, Man United, AC Milan and Inter will have to fight it out. Again, Bayern Munich are in touch with Declan Rice's entourage. Xhaka will sign for Leipzig on a 4-year deal for 15 million euros in June. Allegedly, Burnley want Lokonga on loan. We're looking at Gundogan. Boy, West Ham are interested in Balogun, Lokonga, and Reece Nelson. We're in pole position to acquire Caicedo. Brighton are open to selling him. We've been linked with Xavi Simons of PSV Eindhoven. Ramsdale, as you know, signed a new deal. Links in the last few days have gone cold, but we have been linked with João Cancelo of Manchester City, who, in my opinion, goes to Spain. Whether that's Real Madrid or Barca, I don't know. I think there is a market for him to play fullback there. So with that being said, that appears to be everything. As I said, let me know your thoughts. Is it right to sell Partey? Is it right to sell Xhaka? What are you lot saying on Bukayo Saka's contract? What do you lot feel about the James Maddisons, the Szoboszlais of this world, and anything else we've discussed, people? Again, you lot make the platform. I appreciate you lot for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay blessed. Hope you have good health and your week is great for you lot. On that note, your boy is out.
There's always just that active red flag defending.
I think it's like